following KBLA Talk 1580 on all of our socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Follow the leader.
Oh my God.
Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Shout out to the OG Drew Hill, the original members of Drew Hill. Shout out for the expanded Drew Hill that includes the group Playa and Scola that were the added members. Listen, the 90s were a blessed time.
That was such a beautiful time. I loved it.
What do you think about this generation that they keep? Because I feel like I think back and I think it's pretty normal that you dip back, you know, with nostalgia to things that might have been going on in your childhood that you might have heard a sprinkle of but not fully embraced. Or obviously we use samples heavily throughout hip hop and have for the past 30, 40 years. So it's normal to revisit music. But what does it seem about this younger generation that they seem so one hand firmly planted in the past, but shooing away all association with the current, you know, manifestation of those things? Like, they don't like millennials. They definitely don't like Gen Xers. They skip right over Gen X. Everybody's a boomer, but they're so in a trance regarding the culture, the aesthetics of it, everything.
They want to make their mark on society and they want to do something original and different, but they don't have the depth and the range to do it. So they are copying the old ideas, thinking that they're reinventing something when they're doing nothing new at all.
Nothing new. You got to give them some credit.
Okay.
Okay. Like, that's it? Just okay?
Sure.
Sure.
Enlighten me.
I'm just saying in general.
Because
as
besides the designer drugs and looking washed out and crazy in the rhetoric they keep up in this music, like, I don't know, what are you bringing to the table?
I mean,
it's exhausting to me.
They've brought their own form of research via TikTok. They want to educate each other. There are some things. Again,
now that is what I'll give them. They took a tool called social media and they leveraged it to their advantage. Now that I will give them that. Sure, yes, that's amazing.
I mean, again, as I said, our, you know, generations that came before us weren't impressed with a lot of things that we were doing and didn't necessarily understand it.
They did over time, though.
I am going to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Okay, Peps.
Yeah, over time. You got an obsession with Pebbles, huh?
I do, because she gave the benefit of the doubt in 91, so we wouldn't have to again in 2023. I'm not, no. See, we took their ideas and we improved on them and we made them better. And over time, the people that were naysayers eventually bought into what, you know, we were doing. I don't think I'll be buying into what these kids are doing right now other than helping me navigate technology better.
Okay. Well, we'll have to see. Jury's still out. I believe the children are our future.
They are, and leading technology, wrangling it in.
Listen, everybody has a hero. Everybody doesn't know necessarily what they're really made of until they are put into the circumstance. You got to give them opportunity to bloom, you know?
I try to.
Anyway, moving
I've got a
ahead.
21-year-old right in my life, and it's just like you have all the space, but sometimes I'll be looking like I have concerns. What are y'all doing?
Okay, my keep it real friend.
Yeah.
What have you been keeping it real with about this week?
Minding my business and focusing on me.
Okay.
Because, you know, I think that a lot of us, we invest way too much time on what other people are doing and not what we need to be improving upon. So I've been, you know, focusing on my wellness.
You kept it real with yourself.
With myself,
this week.
yes. I think that's the most important. You can't keep it real with anybody else until you do it with yourself first.
Okay, I like that.
Yep.
Well, we are 3 days away from NBA free agency. I know that is not important to you, but
wait a minute. Yes, it is, because we talked about somebody that's like a free agent recently. Was it my friend?
Who's your friend?
You know, the one with the hands. He's a free agent, right?
The one with the hands.
Never mind. I'll let you finish.
Kawhi Leonard? Is that...
The other one with the hands.
Listen, this is what happens when you talk basketball with someone who is definitely non-basketball affiliated. You're missing it.
If you're going to say his name, and I'm going to say the hands. Go ahead.
I don't know. So
he plays up there in Sacramento.
In Sacramento?
Yeah, he's up north. Yeah, up there with them.
What? Right.
I'm not. Go ahead.
Swiper, no swiping.
This is your story. Nope. I'll tell you in a second. It'll come to you.
Okay, it won't come to me. We'll move around. So, this is going to be a conversation with Trent, but really a conversation with me, because I don't know if Trent's going to have any commentary to add to this.
I will.
All right. So, there was recently a conversation on a show called First Things First about the best NBA trios going forward, right? Not right now, not last season, but the way that they are put together based on some of the trades that have happened. So obviously right now this is all in flux, but this is sort of the dream scenarios. Obviously at the top of the list are the Nuggets of the Joker, Murray, and Aaron Gordon. They're NBA champions. They powered their way through the West. Andy has something to say.
That is not a trio. I'm sorry.
Why? You don't think Gordon belongs in there?
No.
Why not?
I feel like Gordon is an interchangeable player. You could throw in the Michael Porter Jr., call them a trio.
How often is Michael Porter Jr. healthy to really be in that position?
Well, I mean, you could say this past season was kind of like a breakout season for him.
It was.
You know, and I just feel like Michael Porter Jr.
But was he considered the third piece? Who were they leaning towards during this playoff run? I mean, not that Aaron, he picked his spots or he had his moments, I guess.
Yeah, that third piece is interchangeable.
It's interchangeable.
It could have been a Bruce Brown, or you know.
But do you think that they can have success with an interchangeable piece and not someone that is identified as this is the third piece to this this potion? Or do you think the Joker is just that guy that you kind of don't need that? He's, taking a stand for old school big men?
Yes. And honestly, the duo was enough. Because Jamal Murray, I think a lot of people don't put enough respect on his name. Jokic, walking triple-double, big man, agile.
Does some things that we don't understand at his size.
Exactly.
Looks like not really athletic, but can get it done.
Absolutely. But then you have a Jamal Murray on the other stand. In my eyes, he's a killer like Kobe in my eyes.
It's hard for me to give him that. I think it's because he's Canadian, but... But I will say, I mean, he has been impressive in the way that he has come back from that knee injury.
Absolutely.
I mean, we saw what he was starting to do in the bubble that got cut short, obviously. And then for him to go through, 2 seasons where he was out, basically working his way back, and to do what he did in this final series and the playoff series, actually, overall, pretty impressive. However, the West gets tougher, as it always does. And I think that they also, I'm not talking about my Lakers per se, but I think in general, overall, when you think about the playoffs, especially if you look towards the East, not that it would have mattered, but they did get a break because of injuries this season. A lot of teams did. So, things shook out. They came down the way that they were going to come down ultimately, because injuries are a part of the game. However, there are a lot of key pieces that were missing from the playoffs, from the finals due to injury, that might have made things look a little different.
So are you saying the Nuggets had an easy way?
I'm not saying they had an easy way, and I'm not saying that they didn't play up to par. I'm just saying that they were the benefactors of an injury run. Little bit.
Who,
Just
Chris
think
Paul?
about it.
Chris Paul?
I mean, Chris Paul a little bit. The Lakers, we were shaky.
We were at full strength.
Were we?
Yeah.
I mean, we were, but AD was sort of off and on. There was moments when we weren't sure. I mean, that's an overall thing. He was available. But then you think about it, I mean, so the Miami Heat did their thing, but from a play-in team, 8th seed, all the way to the finals. I mean, we saw what happened with the Sixers. They were missing a couple of pieces. We saw a little bit of what happened with the Celtics. Not much.
So that's the Heat who benefited, not
The
necessarily
Heat
the
definitely
Nuggets.
benefited, but the Nuggets benefited because ultimately who they faced up against in the finals, it was a good series, but was it the best series we could have had? Obviously, we'll never know. And they were the best team at the time to make it out of the East. But overall, were they necessarily the best team? Nobody's going to say yes to that.
I think if Boston went, Denver would have still took care of business.
Probably. However, it might have been a more interesting matchup, and it might not have been steamroll. And that third piece, which is what we were talking about, might have been more integral to the whole thing.
I'll give you that.
Okay. So now when we swing around to other, trios that we're looking at, Giannis, Drew Holiday, and Chris Middleton. We know Chris is opting out of his contract, so we don't know what kind of configuration we're going to see for the Bucks next season. I have to say, though, so the Bucks won it in 2021, right? 2022 Golden State, 2023 Denver. Did anybody really care about the Bucks title? I feel like they didn't. They won. Giannis was solid. I mean, he had the 50 piece, the 50-50 when you went to Chick-fil-A and ordered his order, but it doesn't seem like it had the same staying power or relevancy or excitement as obviously we've been dealing with Golden State for the past 7 years, as the Laker bubble championship, that's still brought up. It's interesting to me when stuff like that happens. And while Giannis, from a player's perspective, is definitely a superstar, I think it is that interesting dichotomy that happens because lifestyle is so much a part of what makes a superstar at this juncture. And people want Giannis's game all day. I mean, the Greek freak, what he can do on the court, how he can put the ball down, his range, all of that. But do they want to be Giannis outside of the 64 by 90, whatever the measurements are of the court, something like that, 64 by 90, 60 by, I can't remember, but you get the idea. I don't know if they do, and I think that is reflective of his shoe sales. He does have endorsements, but I think that is something that comes up with players all the time. Trent, you're laughing. Do you have a comment about that?
No, I'm just looking at the chat here.
What is the chat saying?
Tony is saying that Jamal Murray is innocent. It's inconsistent at times, and the Lakers benefited from the Memphis injuries.
The Lakers did benefit from Memphis. Well, it was really only Ja. I'm not saying that dismissively. We know what Ja brought, but overall, team-to-team matchup.
And the measurements for the quarter, 94 by 50.
Okay.
Says Jerry Anderson.
Thank you, Jerry.
Who listened to Selena heavily in the 90s in Arizona.
I have questions about that, Jerry.
That's what happens when you're in Arizona in the 90s. But
perhaps.
Sports, go ahead.
Bum.
I love that song.
Anyway, but back to that. This is my thing with pinning someone as a superstar. Do you care? Do you care, Andy? Does it matter? I mean, obviously, when you think about that type of adulation and we're talking about sneaker sales and stuff like that, you're generally talking about a younger consumer. But do you think about Giannis outside of basketball as far as the culture of it?
No. But I think see, you're taking it out of basketball now. No.
I'm not taking it out of basketball because it is still very much a part of basketball. Mm-hmm. But when you look at it, when you think about it, I mean, it's the same thing with Joker, right?
And what do those two individuals have in common?
They're big men. We know that big men don't sell shoes.
Too.
They're also and that is I think it was someone else that made this point. I think it was related to baseball, though. It was Stephen A. And people were really offended by it. But the reality is, part of being a superstar, especially in this era where you're marketing lifestyle, people loved AI for what he did on the court, but they also loved his complete swag away from the game. So we can't act like that is not a part of marketing and the sport at this point. We know for a fact that if you talk to any of the younger kids, they don't necessarily watch basketball games as a whole, buzzer to buzzer. They watch highlights. They don't even consume the content, the games in the same way. So to say, well, you're taking it off of the court, it's all a part of it. And there's a reason why, though Giannis and Joker are amazing on the court, like they are the future of the NBA in a lot of ways. They still aren't the future of the NBA.
I don't know if I agree with you on that one.
Okay.
Because you're looking at the star power, right?
I am. I mean, and I think that is a part of it.
And I think Giannis, he plays in Milwaukee. It's a small city market.
Right. Now, and he doesn't want to leave. But here's the thing. LeBron James played in Cleveland. And people were going to Cleveland to play with LeBron. Who's going to Milwaukee to play with Giannis?
Well, Dame Dollar, that's a place for you to go if you're trying to win a chip.
Dame is going to end up in Miami.
I don't know. I think he should stay in Portland, though, to be honest with you.
Why?
Because he's loyal. He probably doesn't really care too much for a championship like that. He'd rather win a chip in Portland. And you know what? I can respect him.
So here's the thing. I can respect that too. But what did Kevin Garnett say in his Hall of Fame speech?
I don't remember.
Okay, you don't remember. Let me share with you. Though he loved Minnesota, he loved his time there. Loyal. He wished that he would have left for Boston a little bit sooner.
Interesting. I thought he said he wished he would have won a title from Minnesota.
He said that too. But he also said he wished that he would have, jumped ship a little bit sooner.
Mm-hmm. I think Dame is just a different cat, man. He's somebody to me who's real grounded. And a lot of the hoopla that we're talking about, like what you're talking about with regards to Jokic and Giannis, Dame doesn't really care about that type of stuff. So, him trying to ring chase for whatever legacy, first off, he's getting paid.
Yeah.
He's getting paid.
No sales tax in Portland. I mean,
you feel me?
So income tax.
So to jump ship just to win a chip, I think he'd be doing that for the others as opposed to himself.
I think that you are giving him too much credit for being selfless. And I'm not saying he's loyal. I believe he wanted to be there. If he could have his way, he would stay in Portland and get that ring.
Right.
But I do think he's ready to go. And I don't think it's for other people. I think that he's starting to get that itch because he's looking around and he's on the other side of his career. He sees where some of his, not necessarily peers, but he and Steph Curry aren't that far apart as far as when they came into the league. Mm-hmm. There may be 2 or 3 draft classes separate them, right? He's looking around other guys and Dame, he had that good solid run. What was it, about maybe 2013, 2014, a little bit after that. Olympics were into it, Dame time, and all of the shots. But ultimately, he has a solid career. He, I feel like, is having a career kind of that's very Barkley-esque.
100%.
As far as where we look at him, we know he's one of the greats. We know what he contributes to the game. We know that if he were to be put on a super team, he's definitely going to improve their position, but he's probably never going to get that, and we respect that he's not ring chasing. But deep in his heart, I think you can see it. I think that you can see it.
We'll see if he makes that move. If he decides to stay in Portland, I'm not going to be mad at him. He's just not going to win a chip.
I mean, Scoot said that, them hooking up together is going to be magic. So do you sit around and give it 1 year and see what you can do with Scoot? Because Scoot has also the advantage of spending time in the G League. So he's semi-familiar with the NBA grind and how that works and expectations. And he's a hard worker. His game is stupid. So they could come together and do something. But could they take over the West?
No, the West is too stacked. I'm sorry. You say the Heat. I say either stay in Portland or go to Philly, to be honest with you.
Go to Philly, okay.
Harden leaves, take Harden's place. And I think Philly will definitely make some noise.
Okay. That's interesting. We like that. All right. So another trio to look at on the horizon. And this is Nick Wright from First Things First, his list. He said the Lakers, LeBron, AD, and Austin Reeves. We know Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura just got qualifying offers extended to them today, so that makes them restricted free agents. So Lakers basically have first right of refusal for any negotiations are going down, as they should. They should stay put, make that run it back. We see what happens. But where would you rank that sort of trio as far as in the power rankings as we're discussing?
Damn, Austin done elevated himself to trio status alongside LeBron and AD, huh?
I mean, I would put Rui there, but he was coming off the bench, right?
I wouldn't put Rui right there.
You wouldn't put him in the third spot? You'd leave Austin? Okay.
I'd probably leave Austin. Before he kind of emerged, I even would have thrown a little bit of D'Lo in there.
D'Lo got to go.
Damn. I mean, D'Lo helped the Lakers.
Helped the Lakers immensely. But you know what? He didn't show up when it counted. Yeah. He was vacant in that Denver series.
Well, I feel like if we can give D'Lo and the squad that we had last year, if we can give them a whole off season, a preseason together, a whole 82 games together, and then go into the playoffs, and then if he was to still disappear when it counts, then I'll be like, D'Lo, you got to go. I want to give him grace, maybe one more season, but I just don't know when it comes to the finances. He would have to take a pay cut.
I think it's not only the finances. I think that something that was important that kept being mentioned throughout the playoffs was how was D'Lo going to react if he had to go to the bench because of matchups. And I think that is something important to consider, because if you cannot coach in that manner, if you can't get him to buy in and be on board when we need you to be, hey, in this series, this matchup, it's not working for us. We need you to take one for the team and come off the bench and still be solid, still come through. Do you want that long term on your team?
Point taken. I'm with you. So, that's why Golden State got rid of Jordan Poole.
Indeed. Well, I think you were going to have to get rid of one or the other regardless. And Jordan Poole kind of made the decision easier for them.
Absolutely.
But you can't come back after that situation. And Draymond knew it. Everyone knew it. So, we'll see. Well, when we come forward, we're going to have more sports talk. We will revisit again more conversation with Trent the artist, our Keep It Real friend. I have some more topics that we need that perspective on. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Are you a small or micro business owner looking for ways to succeed after the pandemic? LA County has got you covered. Gain access to economic opportunity grants and technical assistance to help your business thrive. Whether you need mentorship or capital investment programs, they're here to help. Find out if you qualify at recovery.lacounty.gov/programs. That's recovery.lacounty.gov/programs. LA County and you, moving forward together.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Hey, keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, it's Jill Munroe, and we are live from Leimert Park, and you are checking out RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. We are also joined by author, podcaster, and your Keep It Real friend, Trent the artist. Now, Trent, I told you I would have some topics to lobby at you for you to keep it real on. We already sort of discussed whether it's appropriate for exes to still be having conversation around their former or whatever. You said no.
But they're going to do it anyway.
They're going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
But the next thing that I want to ask you about is, how do you feel about connecting your friends? Like, if one of your friends saw another friend and was like, hey, hook me up, are you the friend that'll throw the lob, or do you think that that has the potential to get too messy?
No, I do not even mix my friendships. All of my friends are separate. My friends do not come together until my birthday parties.
Why is that?
Just for it's too much mess. People are curious about each other. They get fascinated. It's too much.
You don't like your friends being friends. You're not comfortable with that.
No, we would all have to meet at the same place at the same time and have that type of, common interest together. Not I introduce you because I think that you guys get along. And it's different because we'll use you as an example. You came to one of my parties last year and I introduced you to one of my friends who kind of does the same thing. Even though there wasn't any mess, it's just like, what is the purpose of you guys being friends? And even though, like, what is the point of this? You guys do the same thing. Okay, great. It's cute. Great. Just enjoy the party and move on. There's really no need for you guys to hang out.
Okay. I don't think I'm that possessive over my friends. I don't think that, like...
I don't like mess. And I know people well enough to know that at some point in time there's going to be some mess. And I don't want to be thrown in the middle. I don't need people calling me trying to navigate friendships, or even, case in point, I was really good friends with somebody since high school, and really strange. This is probably like 15 years ago. A person that appeared on television came into our friendship circle and kind of just ruined the whole thing. And I was like, never again am I going to let this happen, because this is it's way too much unnecessary drama for no reason whatsoever. You don't need to see each other. Just hang out at the party, have some cake, and move on.
Okay.
For the sake of everybody.
But
if something organic happens, you let it happen organically. I don't need to interfere with that.
Okay. But if something organic happens and then they come to you to complain about it, what do you do?
It has nothing to do with me.
Why? You still know them.
That's between y'all. I didn't make the agreement. I didn't broker the deal. I didn't put y'all two fools in the room together and say, no, leave me out of it. Did y'all include me when y'all went out and did the other stuff? Okay, well, don't include me in this. See there? All right.
Listen. You're such a cruel friend.
I'm not. Am I cruel?
I'm just playing.
No, because I've heard that before, that I'm actually pretty mean.
I think it's pretty rigid, but I mean, you got to do what works for you. You got to protect your peace.
I don't think it's rigid. I don't think it's cruel. These are really unfair adjectives. Y'all done made me a ghoster. I'm mean. I'm cruel. I'm rigid. I'm all these things. I mean,
these are by your own admissions.
No,
these
I'm not any of those things.
That you utilize.
I'm a very loving, nice person.
Okay, so maybe you are not the whole thing, but you encompass some of those behaviors.
Don't we all?
So,
it's human nature, but
I'm not a ghoster.
I don't ghost people either. I like to keep.
We will talk about that more when we come forward. Right now, we have coming up your news and sports update. You're checking out RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Tell me it ain't good enough. Tell me, babe. Let me know. Tell me what you want. Tell me, babe. Tell me what you need. Talk to me. Tell me it ain't good enough. Tell me, babe. Cisco. Tell me. Can't lie. We're alone.
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. Angela Bassett is among this year's batch of honorary Oscar winners. The Academy said they decided to award Bassett because her performances set a new standard in acting. The actress has only been nominated 2 times, once for her portrayal of Tina Turner and What's Love Got to Do with It, and as Queen Ramonda in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. A child molestation lawsuit against Michael Jackson is being allowed to go to trial. Choreographer Wade Robson claims the music icon molested him at Neverland Ranch when he was between the ages of 7 and 14. According to TMZ, Robson is suing Jackson's corporation, MJJ Productions. Lawyers for the company argue that it had no legal duty to protect Robson or an ability to control Jackson, but a court of appeals disagreed and sent the claim back down for trial. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
Need an accident attorney by your side? All you got to do is call the Accident Guys.
Injured in a car accident or at work? Call the Accident Guys, because unlike other firms, an attorney will negotiate your case, not a paralegal.
Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
If you're not following KBLA Talk 1580 on all of our socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Got your black. Follow the leader.
Following the leader.
Oh my God. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
If you're a business owner or lead a nonprofit that's between 26 and 49 employees, please listen. Lendistry is proud to announce a new program whereby small businesses and nonprofits may qualify for reimbursement of COVID sick leave expenses incurred in 2021 or 2022. This program is administered by the California Office of the Small Business Advocate. Eligibility criteria apply and funding is limited. For more information, visit COVIDPaidSick.com. If you're a business owner or lead a nonprofit that has between 26 and 49 employees, please listen. Lendistry is proud to announce a new program whereby small businesses and nonprofits may qualify for reimbursement of COVID sick leave expenses incurred in 2021 or 2022. This program is administered by the California Office of the Small Business Advocate. For more information, visit COVIDPaidSick.com.
Get ready to feel the funk with Charlie Wilson at the Hollywood Bowl on July 12th. Wilson brings 4 decades of hits like Outstanding and Party Train from his days as lead singer of the Gap Band and his award-winning solo career with hits like You Are and There Goes My Baby. In Vogue opens the night infusing killer vocals with class on hits like Free Your Mind and My Lovin'. Get your tickets now at HollywoodBowl.com. Hollywood Bowl, forever summer.
In our community, mental health struggles can sometimes go unnoticed. The suicide rate among Black youth has risen faster than any other ethnic group. Only 1 in 3 African Americans who need mental health care receives it. African American women are only half as likely as their Caucasian counterparts to seek professional mental health services. Even those who guide us spiritually can sometimes face their own challenges. 45% of pastors say they've experienced depression or burnout to the extent they need to take a leave of absence from ministry. As people of faith, it's time to acknowledge it's okay not to be okay. You can pray and get help. Visit normalizehelp.org for more information and resources. Join us in raising mental health awareness in our community. Funded by the Los Angeles County Department of Mental Health and the Champion Counseling Center of Faithful Central Bible Church.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SavedByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SavedByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SavedByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Leroy, 71's backed up. What's your 20? Over.
Olivia needs more drivers for her trucking company to go the extra mile.
I've got 3 more stops to make.
She wants to hitch a team to drive business forward.
Lots of double nickels on the 169. You know what I'm over? This driver shortage.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed, you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Some people won't give you the real talk on drugs, but it's time we know the facts. Fentanyl is killing people. It's a powerful opioid, often made illegally and commonly mixed with illicit drugs. It can even be pressed into counterfeit pills that resemble prescription medications. Just 2 milligrams, about the size of a few grains of sand, can potentially be lethal. This isn't an ad to scare you, but it is an ad to make you think twice. Get the facts. Go to realdealonfentanyl.com. This message is brought to you by the Ad Council.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Better come through with that Michael Jackson. Andy, let me tell you, the playlist is fire. Do you share playlists with friends since, you guys aren't mixing friend groups? What is allowed to cross the friendship barriers and lines?
Shades.
I'm just asking. I'm just saying.
Shade.
So in the chat is still lit. Jerry Anderson says, I have to be sure that my friend's messiness match. Otherwise, it's risky to jeopardize my peace.
Absolutely. There it is.
Okay.
Match for match.
Match for match. And if it matches, is it a go or is it still a hesitation? Because it sounds like it's still a hesitation.
It's still a hesitation because the fire might get out of control, and then you might get caught up in some stuff that you wouldn't even try to get caught up in.
Absolutely.
Bringing all this mess together.
I'm very clear about certain things, though. Like, I'll throw a lob. You guys can hook up, but I'm very clear, like, that doesn't concern me. That is not a part of me. Please do not bring me in that.
Mm-hmm.
I will not be participating in that. And, we can go from there, but I don't mind the mixing and matching. I'm not going to try and separate out or go through that. That's too much of a hassle as well.
And even when other friends introduce me to their friends, I always get the person who introduced me, I always call them first to get their permission. Like, is it okay if I hang out today, or to let them know? To keep them in the loop, because that's their friend.
I understand, but how far do you go with that? Like, do you do that every time, or do you just do that the initial time?
I do it until there is a clear rapport that me and this person have established our own relationship and friendship that's separate from the one that brought me in.
Okay. I mean, it's fair. I like that. Yeah. I appreciate that. I just don't know
because it's not my turf, and it's a respect thing.
And I feel you on that totally, because some people are sensitive to things like that. It may hurt their feelings. They may feel a type of way.
And friendship dynamics shift and change with new energy. So I want to make sure that I preserve the original friendship and keep that intact, because it's not mine to mess up.
Very fair, but there's only so much calling in and reporting that I'm going to do.
Oh, for sure.
We're all adults.
For sure.
Yeah. But I do appreciate the effort, and I do understand having those conversations, because, you do. I very much believe in extending the same type of kindness that I want extended to me in those situations. And it's such a small thing, but it can mean so much. Now, pause on that. We're going to circle back to the sports topic, right? And so my next question is about the Phoenix Suns. Now, a lot is new with Phoenix. They have recently got new ownership, and that owner has a basketball career in his past. He played in college, so he's not afraid to make moves, make changes, as we've seen, trading CP3 as Bradley Beal over there. So their big three looks to be Kevin Durant, Booker, Devin Booker, Kendall Sachs, and Bradley Beal. So do we think that they will be able to get up to speed with not only a new piece in Beal, a new coach that's coming in that we haven't seen, do we think that they'll be able to get up back to speed to make it to the Western Conference Final? You pulled that mic really hard, Andy, so I know that means that you have an answer for me. Go.
First off, before I answer that question, Trent, man, when is your birthday?
I'm a Pisces, March 13th.
Okay.
When is your birthday?
What does that mean, Andy?
I'll just swear, when you were speaking, I felt like you was like
speaking
me.
for him.
Yeah.
Speaking for me.
Are you a Libra?
I'm a Libra / Scorpio.
Okay, because
there's the water. There's the water.
But I have a Scorpio moon, so that's why you get me. But there's a lot of Libra in my chart, so I have Libra rising, Libra Venus. So I'm pretty much a Libra.
Okay.
In all intents and purposes.
We on the same team.
Yeah.
With that watery gray. Okay.
It's all good. I feel everything sometimes way too much, and it's annoying sometimes.
I got you. Okay.
And then to always have to balance everything out and see the big picture, it's too much to handle.
All right, Jill, could you ask that question again?
The trio, the big three that is in for the Suns.
Yes.
Do we have realistically, where do we expect them to land out with all of the new energy that's coming in and all of the moving pieces that they have?
You know, I already know a lot of people kind of consider them a championship team, but I think them losing Chris Paul is still heavy to me, because to me, Bradley Beal and Devin Booker are the same player. So I don't know who's going to be playing point guard for the Phoenix Suns, but I think they desperately need a point guard, because I just don't know if that's really going to work. I think Devin Booker and Bradley Beal, they're going to be clashing for, moments with the ball in their hand.
Because they gave up Cameron Payne to get KD, right?
No, Cameron Payne was still on the squad because Chris Paul was injured, and Cameron Payne, so he might be the starter. I don't know. I like Chris Paul generalship on a squad like that.
Okay.
Considering KD is a vet, you could say Bradley Beal is a vet, but at that time, they had youth, and you need a vet, a ball handling general, who's gonna be able to dish it to Beal over here on that one wing, and then give it to Book on the other wing. Ayton, you stay down low, grab the board, and KD, you just.
Do you think that they should keep Ayton? I think that they should still be finding any way they can to move on for him.
Well,
not that he's not talented, but the way that he sulked during the playoffs and got down, the way that he took himself out of the game, is that someone you want to depend on for the remainder of the season?
I see that you're real big on attitude and disposition.
Because it matters.
I'm with you 100%. I think with Monty Williams gone, I think Ayton is going to be a more happier individual.
That's fair. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Coaching change can bring out a whole new you.
Yeah.
That's almost the same as going into a new environment.
Absolutely.
Okay, I get that. Tony Yayo says Booker is the point guard. He played point in the playoffs before CP3 even showed up.
And that's probably why they lost.
Tony Yayo also says that Portland already had CJ McCollum and Anthony Simon paired with Dame, and it didn't work out too much. So, are we basically saying that the top of the West, though disjointed as it was at the end of the season, is basically going to look the same next season? That we're going to have Golden State out there doing whatever they do. I don't know how the addition of Chris Paul, or if the addition of Chris Paul even matters. I feel like Chris Paul joining Golden State is kind of like when Matt Barnes got his ring. Obviously, I'm not comparing player-wise Matt Barnes and Chris Paul. I'm just saying, if Golden State were to ascend back to the finals, it's just kind of a cruise thing. I don't think that Chris is going to have to do too much there this season.
And see, I don't know. Everybody just keeps on saying that Chris Paul is going to come off the bench. I think he's still going to start.
In place of who?
Who's the starting point guard?
Steph.
Steph can go to the 2.
He can, but where's Clay going to go?
He's going to go to the 3. You got Draymond at the 4. If he does come back, and you got Looney at the 5. And the reason why I say that is because, look, Chris Paul, being the point guard that he is, will take Steph does not need to handle the ball anymore, which means he's going to be ripping and running all around the court. Clay, same thing.
But when Steph handles the ball, they do better.
Well, I can't.
They do better. They perform better. I don't know why that is, but they seem to perform better when Steph has the ball in his hands. When he's the decision maker for them, they do a little bit better.
Well, I think they can share point guard responsibilities, and I think it's a benefit for all of them, because For example, Steph wouldn't necessarily need to work as hard.
True.
Because Chris Paul has the ball in his hand. And vice versa, with the ball in Steph's hand, Chris Paul doesn't have to work as hard. So I feel like whoever has the ball in their hand, the other player is going to be waiting in the wing or running for position, and all they got to do is catch and shoot.
But Chris is going to be injured by Christmas, too.
And that's why I say Chris Paul's not going to play 82 games. He's going to play anywhere between 50 to 65.
Right.
That would be the smart move for them.
Okay. All right. I like that matchup. You know, we got to talk a little hoops. I know it's early, but like I said, free agency starts in 3 days, and then NBA Summer League starts in a week. So we're going to get to see at least the youth of these teams in action next week. So we kind of have an idea of what's going to slot in where and where things are going to go. When we come forward, we're going to talk a little more sports. We're going to get into some other topics of the night. We still have a few more trending topics to discuss. That Uber story that we've been promising since last night, we're going to circle back to that. And we're going to talk more with our Keep It Real friend, Trent the Artist. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe right here live on KBLA Talk 1580.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
JP Morgan Chase is building on the investments in California and around the country to help close the racial wealth gap and build a more equitable future. As part of JP Morgan Chase commitment, they are taking action to help improve financial wealth and access to banking in the Black community, helping more people open low-cost checking and savings accounts, hosting community seminars with supporting Black-led institutions by building awareness about financial investments, hiring community managers, and opening community center branches like Crenshaw, Inglewood, and downtown LA. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Get the tools to help reach your financial goals. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity.
You're listening to K-Drip, where we play all the best classic water-wasting hits like Sprinklers in the Rain and Leaky Faucets. They're tunes from another time because now that we face a hotter, drier future, every drop counts. Despite an extremely wet winter, keep using less water, fixing leaks, and reusing indoor water for your garden. Visit SaveOurWater.com for more ways to conserve. Up next, brushing your teeth with the water on.
K-Drip. KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about. KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for education as a right, not a privilege. Charles R. Drew University of Medicine and Science is a private, non-profit, community-founded, student-centered university committed to cultivating diverse health profession leaders who are dedicated to social justice and health equity for underserved populations. CDU does this through outstanding education, clinical service, and community engagement. Recently, Charles Drew University made history by opening only the 5th medical school at an historically Black university. Congratulations, South LA, and congratulations to the Dean of the medical school, Dr. Deborah Protho-Stith. CDU is now training doctors and providing $90 million in annual economic benefit to Watts and surrounding neighborhoods. To apply for medical school, get more information, or sign your child up for the Junior Doctors Saturday School program, visit cdrewu.edu. That's cdrewu.edu. At KBLA, we are dedicated to equity in education and ending healthcare apartheid, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
Hey, it's Jill Munroe. You are checking in live on KBLA Talk 1580. We are getting into all the trending topics, breaking down all of the hot headlines that have been buzzing around. And this is a story that we kind of teased yesterday and didn't quite make it around to circling back to having a conversation about it. So this involves Uber. And there was a woman that was an Uber passenger in Texas, and she shot her driver in the head because she thought he was kidnapping her and taking her to Mexico. Turns out that she just misunderstood the signs, and he wasn't taking her anywhere but to her destination. But it begs the question, as open carry permit states and carrying and concealed weapon permits are becoming more popular. So open carry states, concealed weapon permits are becoming more popular. I expect that we will see more hair trigger response in things like this because people are paranoid. We know there's an overabundance of gun violence hitting our country, and at any given moment, people feel like it could pop off. It could go down at any given time, so they want to protect themselves. What are your feelings about carrying weapons, and do you think that people need to exercise more caution in those moments? Do you really think that we can ever be prepared as far as someone that has been trained, they're licensed, but in those snap decisions, now this woman's life has changed forever, as is the driver's family, because they want to see her go down. They want her to go down for murder, not manslaughter, murder. So what are your thoughts on that?
There's so many things going on in my head right now, and the first thing is, like, who is she? I need to identify her. Who is she?
What's her name?
Yeah, what's her name? Yes. Is her name Lakeisha or is her name Karen?
Neither. It's Phoebe Kopus.
That's interesting. That's a talk. So where's she from? The Ukraine? Where's she from?
El Paso, Texas is when this happened.
Is there a picture?
I did not see the picture, but
because all of this is going to formulate my response. But
like I said, it's in El Paso, Texas. Both the
either
driver and both the Uber driver and the passenger appear to be of Latino descent, if that helps you out.
Okay. That does put things into perspective just a little bit. It's unfortunate either way. Unfortunately, we live in a society where women are trafficked. And when you live in a border town, I'm assuming all these different things in my mind about what, the situation could be to make her, feel, threatened by that. It's just like, it sounds like a really unfortunate situation where she has had some things happen in her life where she felt like she needed to protect herself. And Tony Yayo is in the comments, and he's saying that the driver was Latino and the woman was black.
Oh, the woman was black.
So yes, it's black women have suffered so many different things in this country. So we don't know what her circumstances have, what her experience and what her story has been to lead her to the point where she felt like she needed a gun to protect herself.
So this is my thing with
and now that we know that she's a black woman, we already know how this is going to play out.
I mean, she was arrested for murder, not manslaughter. Murder.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and one has to question, was her... Again, that is sort of a tricky line, and I'm sure that they'll go through that. But obviously her intent when she got in the Uber, she was going to her boyfriend's house, wasn't to murder someone that night.
She was going to her boyfriend's house?
She was on her way to her boyfriend's house. And she saw the signs that said Juarez, Mexico, and she thought she was being kidnapped. So my thing is, with your training, with your gun training like that, I know that when you are tested, they have you shoot at different, lengths out and shoot at different areas or whatever. It's always interesting to me and I don't know for a fact that she is licensed and trained. I'm making that assumption. It doesn't say, at least in the article that I was utilizing. But I always think that it's interesting that in those moments, right, the point of the training, it's never shoot to maim or injure, it's shoot to kill.
I'm still like processing this in my brain because, again, we don't know what state of mind she was in. However, me thinking, it's like you don't just pull out a gun and shoot somebody. You say, I have a gun, pull over the car, let me out. I'm even thinking, if I'm going to see somebody that I'm in intimate relation with, I'm calling them on the phone and I'm giving them a blow by blow what's happening. I'm sending a location. I'm trying to, interrupt the kidnapping before the gun is the last resort. because I don't want them to even know that I have a gun in their car. First things first. So it's a last resort. So there's a few in my mind. There's a few steps that you go through before you actually pull out the gun to use it. You're even busting out a window or shooting out the window, trying to stop at a stoplight and get out. You're not shooting somebody just
point blank range in the back of the head.
And even you can get like a shoulder graze to make them stop. Shoot them in the arm, shoot their hand while they're driving. Anything. I mean,
and again, that is a question I generally have. And I suspect that we are going to see more and more stories like that just because, one, I mean, if you think about, people always make jokes about Uber and how children people that were born of a certain era can't imagine that you're getting in the car with a stranger yeah. to take you to your destination. Yeah. That was called hitchhiking back in the day, and they made TV movies and after-school specials about that. And now here we are.
I saw a hitchhiker the other day. It was so strange.
Like literally with their thumb out?
On the entrance of the 110 freeway split coming downtown, like off of Grand. And he was literally standing at the thumb, and I was like, not in 2023, sir.
No.
Nope.
I've been seeing a lot of people walking on the 110 as of late. That's been kind of tripping me out.
It's strange.
Yeah.
It's strange times.
So anyway, prayers for the families of both of those people because they're both going through it. And obviously the family of Daniel Garcia can never, get him back. But I hope that they have some comfort in each other and can find some peace moving forward.
A horrific incident.
It really is, especially when you consider that it was a gig job. So when we come forward, we're going to talk more about the trending headlines. Idris Elba shared his true thoughts about the saga to get him to portray James Bond. We also have some upcoming information about who is getting a star on the Walk of Fame.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we have someone exciting coming up. It's a posthumous star. I probably said that wrong. Posthumous star. Yeah. There you go. It's late. Some days it slips. Anyway, and we also have a story about Beyonce's former dance captain, Ashley Everett, and her comments about Blue Ivy. All that and what?
Wait a minute. Is this that same dancer that she doesn't work for Beyonce anymore?
She does not work for Beyonce anymore. She used to have the curly red hair.
And she's been liking all those weird comments about Beyonce on socials and stuff?
Yes, she has.
Is her NDA expired or is she just trying to get riled up? Like, see, do we have to talk about Beyonce again?
Well,
today?
We're not going to talk about Beyonce per se.
All right.
We're going to talk about Ashley. And that's the dancer's name.
Ashley, yes.
And how she is responding to Beyonce and what she had to say about Blue Ivy.
Kids are off limits, and it's almost like the question that you talked about, the question of the day, is stop talking about your exes.
Oh, so that goes into that too?
Yes, stop talking about people that you don't work for no more and that you ain't friends with.
Well, what about if you're asked? Because I'm sure a lot of people ask. I'm sure a lot of people have questions.
You know what I say to that?
They want to have the conversation.
I don't know her.
Oh, now you're Mariah.
And you move on. Because technically you don't know them anymore. You're not in their life. You ain't seen them. You ain't talked to them. You don't have any updates. You don't know them. Stop talking.
But you're not allowed to share your own experience of what you went through and whatever.
It was an amazing time.
Asking.
It was an amazing time. I hope everything is well. Tell the kids I said hello.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
But you feel free to share your side of the story.
Oh, I do. I do it on my show, and I put it in books.
Well, when we come forward, we're going to get more into those stories. Stick and stay for news and sports coming up. It's Jill Munroe, and you are checking out RSVP on 1580 Talk KBLA.
See that girl, she knows I'm watching. She likes the way I stare. If they say why, tell them that it's human nature. Why, do they do it that way? If they say why.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. Angela Bassett is among this year's batch of honorary Oscar